on the gates for the first time tonight for the 450 class here for the HSM Factory Racing Series round 2 here at Rancho Cordova. Well, the man himself. If I can, Lynn's hiding away in there. Hopefully we can get his gear in for future races. So yeah, some big names in here. We've got D-Mills over there as well. Look, beautiful carry. Look at that. Gorgeous. Alright, gates are down and off. We go then for the first race of the night here for the 450 class. Around the corner we go. Beveridge fighting it out with Dan White for the whole show. Looks like Beveridge did take it, but we're still side by side then as we come through and over that first tabletop. Beveridge then leads the race just ahead of Linz and Dan White. Let's check in with the actual track cams and skip on through the field until we find Beveridge. He's gone off the track. Linz then now leads just ahead of Yorks and Dan White here on the Suzuki. A beautiful run for now. FXR and G Fuel bike are looking very nice indeed. Alright, D-Mills trying to find his way into the background here as well. We'll check in with Dan White as he's onto the back of Yorks. Yorks in P2 for now on the Kawasaki. Dan then looking to try and close that gap up and give a bit of a scrappy do. The system decal bike here of Yorks slowly closing in on the FXR bike up front. Dan White then getting a lovely scrub here and out driving Yorks up the hill. Will he get the position done? It looks like he might, but he's getting a little bit casey. Unfortunately, it's not going to be done just yet. Linz then opens that gap up a little bit further here as Yorks starts to put the pressure back on to the back of the P1 bike for now. Checking in then with the rest of the field. We've got Abreu finding his way past Phoenix. Making his way around the outside of the PL Adventures bike here. Can the Swiss Development one? No, he's gone down. Hamp, though, will take full advantage and get past both bikes in the same round. Unfortunately, Phoenix doesn't quite grab the double and does end up casing heavy on the front wheel. That's going to cost him a lot of time. Oh, you can see him still dying in the background there as Abreu finds his way through, as well as BP. BP then just ahead of Wody, having a bit of trouble here as he come through the rollers up to the next step up. Thankfully, slots it in quite nicely. Can he grab the inside? No, just about. Just about. Here we go then. Looks like Linz has opened a considerable gap now for the lead. A 4-second gap indeed. And Dan White and Yorks here still scrapping it out for P2. Both on the system decal team. We've got D-Mills closing in as well here for the 1110 team. Can he get himself underneath one of these little bikes in front? It's going to be a tough fight indeed. A spectator down because he's in the middle of this three-way fight for now. And it does actually look like this is our closest battle on the field at the minute, according to that timing tree. So down then, defending from D-Mills, aggressing onto the back of Yorks. Will he be able to try and make this work for himself? He gets a bit wibbly and has to focus now primarily on defence here from D-Mills to try and secure that P3 spot for now. And then still leads a very nice, comfortable lead indeed. Let's check in with Cactus Jack here as he's onto the back of Hamper. We've got Capybara making his way past Hamper as well here. Cactus Jack hard onto the back of this Husqvarna now for the Kawasaki. Cactus Jack then taking P6 as we speak. A nice little bit of a recap then. Abreu will go down and collect Beveridge. Beveridge, though, makes it through. Looks like Capybara is unfortunately retired from the race here pretty early in the first moto. Fingers crossed we see him for the second one. And Gustav Bergman then onto the back of... Is that Wody? It is Wody here and just Gunit Suzuki. Hamp here onto the back of Marvin. Husqvarna makes his way around the outside of the Suzuki. Suzuki stretching it out, just about makes it on top of the hill. Unfortunately runs it over just a little bit. Let's check in with some more little battles here. Make sure we don't miss anything as we go through the... Alrighty then, Hamp doing it quite nicely. We'll check in. We've got to keep on top of this race here, but obviously... Beveridge, though, onto the back of Cactus Jack here. Can we find his way through on this little gas? Closing in onto the back of the Kawasaki then here on the AB Customs bike. Grabs the inside right. It's looking very promising as we come alongside. A good drive now then down the right-hand hill. Very tough technical corner to grab. Both bikes holding it very nicely though. Unfortunately, getting a little bit of wibbly towards the end, but thankfully doing quite nicely. Beveridge then gets the position. Cactus Jack blows the corner. Phoenix here might be losing a position here as well. Oh, and he does. After a little bit of minor contact then between the two bikes, both bikes staying on top. Beveridge, though, will secure that position. Back up with the leading two. We've got D-Mills still holding on to the back of Linz, but it's around the 1 second mark. Linz seeming to ease off and get steady when he's got a bit of space, and then get the hammer back down when he realises there's some pressure from behind. 2 seconds according to that previous timing gate then. Wody here, just ahead of Phoenix and Cactus Jack. No, Wody's down. He collects the other bikes, and the Suzuki goes flying into space. How it flew quite so far, nobody really knows. Someone's going to have to email Poboso about that one. My goodness me. Wody then losing 2 positions in the sum total of 1 crash. An unfortunate incident And a fair bit of a gap now to the bikes behind. Yorks a little bit off the leaders here. An 11-second gap now between D-Mills and Linz as these guys are pushing to their absolute maximum. D-Mills there now leads the race with 3.5 minutes to go until the final few laps. Over the rollers then and up towards the step-up jump. Can we scrub it in nicely? Yes, we can. Look how low Linz gets on that Suzuki. That is phenomenally low. Alrighty then, Gustav onto the back of Wody. Will he find his way through? The system decal bike onto the back of the Just Gunit Suzuki. Is it going to work? Linz then leading just ahead of Mills here by around a few seconds. It's really not the 4 seconds that timing gate's trying to tell us it is, though. Team Mills has lost a considerable gap now to Linz, nearly 10 seconds after that last timing gate. That is phenomenal. York's now another 10 seconds behind him. And 22 off the leader, but holding on to a very solid P2 for now. Dan White a considerable gap behind. Let's check in with some more battles then. Beveridge and Hamp. 15 seconds now for Linz versus D-Mills. Phenomenal gap. Harrison then just ahead of Linz here. Linz will close in onto the back of the lap down bike with relative ease, though, I'm pretty sure. Had a valiant battle there with D-Mills for a long time. So we'll see. We'll see if that can continue for Moto2 and indeed the rest of the season. This is going to be some wacky racing. D-Mills then across the line here, on track for P2, but potentially he does lose the position there to Yorks. Looks like he had a penalty that just put him over. Look at that, hundredths of a second. Oh, that is a tragedy. 12 hundredths of a second between D-Mills and Yorks. If he'd have finished a fraction ahead, he would have held his P2 spot, but unfortunately the penalties do push him down into that P3. Down go the gates, and away we go then for the 450 Moto2. And it looks like Linz is off to a fantastic start there on the Suzuki. What a whole shot indeed. Nice clean start for 450s. I was almost about to say no one going down, but unfortunately Hamp, Hunt, Claps and Garrison has also gone down. I'm going to have to be really careful with how I pronounce that name. My goodness me. Alright, let's get back in then on the track cams. Linz leads the field just ahead of D-Mills by the looks of it. We've also got who is behind him, D-Mills for P4. So a solid start here in the 450 Moto. Unfortunately, a lower number of bikes in the second moto than the first moto, but it is what it is. We take what we get and we roll with it. Checking in with the field, we've got to see if we can find any immediate overtakes. Hunt makes his way past Phoenix then, looking at pretty toasty indeed. Hefner also trying to take advantage of Phoenix here. Can he find his way around the outside then on the Suzuki? Oh, he cuts down for the central, right? Cheeky little line. Doesn't quite make the position work though. Checking back in, York still behind Linz for now. D-Mills with a huge send in the background. My goodness. Just look how much time he's made up there. D-Mills then makes his way past Linz after Linz has a little bit of a slowdown. Not sure if he had a crash there or not, because I was actually reading the Wody versus Cactus Jack versus Hamp here. We've got a four-way fight, Beveridge included. Beveridge unfortunately goes down there on the gas, causing Cactus Jack to slow up. Thankfully, Jack seems to be holding on to his position, checking up at the front. Yorks is still leading. Linz down the inside of D-Mills gets that position done. Gives Yorks a little wave as we slip on through for the P1 position then on the FXR G Fuel bike. Cactus Jack and Beveridge having a great little battle here. Cactus on the that Kawasaki. Yorks and D-Mills back onto the back of Linz. Linz has gone way off the track there. We'll blame it on the controller issue, but it looks like just a little bit too much speed and an awkward angle into the berm there. Down into P3 he goes then. We'll see if he can close that gap back up. Hunt Claps back on the back of Hampy. Up at the front, we've got D-Mills versus Yorks. The fight for P1, obviously, between these two Kawasaki's. D-Mills on the E10 team squeezes its way down the inside. Is it going to work? It does. Yorks, though, goes for the big inside send. Gets himself just ahead on these rollers as we slot back up into the step-up. Running it deep, but both bikes catching the ruts nicely there and not finding their way off the track in the slightest, which is always, of course, the nicest way for it to be. Hunt here, just ahead of Hamp and Beveridge. Hamp and Beveridge having a great little fight here, though, again, on the gas and the Husqvarna. Kawasaki of Hunt not far ahead, just in front on the state line bike there. We'll see the AB Customs gas squeezes his way. Oh, I thought he was going to grab that central right and get the position, but couldn't quite hold on to it. Ends up having to chill out for a second then. D-Mills now behind York. The System Decal bike leading very nicely here. We've got Linz here 4 seconds behind. Seems to be having some early race moments. Hopefully he gets back into the swing of things here without too many worries though. Checking in then with more of the field. We've got Hamp and Beveridge back at it again, as well as Hunt still on the fight. Yorks then leads the race just ahead of Linz, doing alright. 944 and Harrison seems to be having a great little fight here. That's BP and Harrison, that is. Harrison on the Suzuki just behind. BP obviously on the Kawasaki in front. Linz then hopefully making his way back through the field. Hopefully we can go back in like a replay or something. Wody v Hamp then. Wody on that gorgeous Suzuki again. I love that livery. So we know that Linz is just up there ahead. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but you know, is what it is. We've got to check back up here with the leader. Just ahead of Hefner. Trying to get his way around this blue flag bike. Proving to be a little bit awkward as Hefner stayed on the preferential line here. but not to worry. It does make his way through without any contact at all, which is always what we love to see. Yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but I think Hefner did what the sort of the best thing he could there in that situation. And once Linz was around the outside, and he realised he was around the outside, he just stayed nice and tight and kept a predictable line. Checking in, we've got to find some more battles. We've actually got to go back up to Wody. Wody versus Hunt Claps, it looks like here. The State Line versus Just Goonit Bikes. The State Line Cowie then trying to find his way here. Can he squeeze his way to the inside? Doesn't quite grab the inside rut, so he's going to have to opt for the outside again. Losing just a little bit of time to Wody on this next downhill section. But again, big balls will carry you through the corner nicely. He gets nice and scrubby over the single roller there. Wody gets a bit bumpy into the corner, and that allows Hunt to find his way alongside, almost colliding then. A little bit of an elbow touch, but nothing too major. Kawasaki losing some time and the position then, as Wody finds his way back up over the Oblivion jump and into that P3 spot, according to that timing board. Yorks then onto the back of Linz here. Looks like he's slowly reeling in the leading bike. We'll see if he can hold on to that and try and make it stick for himself. Huntlaps makes his way past Phoenix. Wody gets a little bit wobbly on the outside there of the JD Designs jump, but holds onto his bike and the position. Coming over the single now towards the finish jump. We're looking okay for both. The State Line Cowie, though, getting a good drive down this back straight. Across the finish jump we go now. Neither bike getting particularly scrubby and just wanting to keep on two wheels. Lynn's getting a mega drive on the outside there as well. I have no idea how he caught quite so much grip. That was insane. York's then putting in his absolute best to try and get by. Cactus Jack actually staying off the track there for a little longer than he necessarily needed to, just to make sure he wasn't causing any of those blue flag issues that we were talking about earlier on. Here we go then. 3 minutes and just a couple of laps remains. Lynn's getting particularly scrubby over that finish jump, trying to open that gap back up to himself and the P2 bike. A2 seems to be having a bit of trouble here as Beveridge finds his way through. York's making his way past the lap down bike of Phoenix there. Lovely stuff, the system decal Cowie. Unfortunately, Phoenix goes down there. I'm not sure if he got jump scared, but there certainly wasn't any collision on my end. Beveridge has unlapped himself, but now will be relapped by the leader. Yeah, here we are, nearly at the end of the 450 Moto 2. Linz leads ahead of Yorks, and then we've got D Mills here for P3. All the numbers here, add one, basically. We'll see, though, if Linz can get his way back into the rhythm. Yorks is really putting that hammer down. Really putting that hammer down now. Hunt's doing okay here. Wody as well, just ahead of him. York's over the jump. Looking pretty nice then as he begins the final lap of tonight. Just ahead of Linz. Linz now sitting in that P2 spot. So we want to keep an eye on this battle. The most important and no longer the closest battle on the field, but it was the closest battle on the field. Unfortunately, Linz had a huge off there. Looks like he's actually down to P3 now after D Mills on the 1110 bike has managed to slip his way through. So he's doing very nicely. Unfortunately, he's had a bit of a wibble. Linz is going to outdrive him on the Suzuki there. Gets a bit wobbly, and unfortunately the tail just clips the front of D Mills' bike. I'm sure that's going to cause some controversy. Well, there's not much he could have done about it, honestly. Yorks then leads the field on this system decal Kawasaki by a comfortable 12 seconds ahead of D Mills. Linz has managed to make his way past D Mills and up into P2 by the looks of it. So very nice stuff indeed for himself. Yorks then really driving that hammer home. 202.434 is the fastest time so far. Let's see if he beats it on the final lap. In fact, screw it. We'll keep this time up. See how people are doing as we call him in home. So then, we're in a 204.7 on that final lap, but a 202.4 best. Yorks takes P1 and the race win. I believe Linz is coming in for P2. In fact, he is. D Mills there for P3, just behind. So Linz finishes P2. Ignore what you're seeing on your screen, provided that the penalty does obviously manage to get lifted. And I think it's doing all right. We've got 944 is the next actual bike across the line. That's going to be BP bringing it home for P9. BP then does bring it on home for P9. A decent attempt here tonight. Unfortunately, picks up that last spot in the bikes to finish. Although Cactus Jack did retire, so Phoenix not technically last. And not technically last is the best position to be in that P3 spot on the board, but P4 overall. Lovely stuff indeed. Anyway, so this is going to be 450... Yeah, 450 EU. Just had to double check. The overall standings then, we had Yorks in the top spot. Linz got P3. Did it fix itself? I think it fixed itself. So Yorks for P1, D Mills for P2, Linz for P3, Wody for P4, Ham for P5, Beveridge finished up P6, Harrison in P7. We got BP for P8, Dan White in P9, Hunt finished up in P10, Hefner for P11, we had Phoenix in P12, Cactus Jack for 13, Gustav Bergman then finished up in P14, just ahead of Falcon. Then we had Abru in P16, Dugan in P17, Marvin T18, and Capybara in P19 in that unfortunate last place spot here tonight after the retirement. So let's have a look then at the overall championship standings really quickly. Only the top 5 do we really care about right now, because we're early days in the season. D-Mills then leads just ahead of Wody, 89 points to 62, so that's a considerable lead. Dan White then in the P2 spot, P3 spot, sorry, not far behind Wody. Beveridge in P4, Harrison at P5, Skilled in the P6, and York P7. There's the P8 here. And we've got Mills and Hefner as well, so good stuff across the board. Hopefully we get some good stuff. But yeah, it looks like Skills' race then from last week did actually get picked up, which is actually nice.